Hello, hello, ambitious women, entrepreneurs, and coaches. How to sign 6 4-figure clients in the next 28 days. I'm sharing with you how I was able to do that. And as we dive in, I would love to hear what kind of service you provide. So, how do you transform your clients? In the comment section below, let me know because then I can speak into your situation. I have my phone here as always where I can check in on the comments, the questions, and the better or the more you participate, the better it is for you and the more you're going to get out of it. So if you're able to join me live, it would be great to see your comments. And that way, you're not only holding yourself accountable, but as I said, I can give you examples, I can speak to your situation, and you'll have greater takeaways from today's session. So if you're just hopping in now, let me know that you can see me and hear me by dropping a hashtag live or a hashtag replay. I'm going to ask you some prompts, some questions along the way, and if you have a notepad or pen, you can either use the comment section or take notes on your own. That is completely fine, and I have my trusty notepad that will keep me on track and make sure I don't miss any of the valuable points that I want to make sure get across in today's live. So once you let me know who you serve, how you serve, I then want you to put in the question of what do you want answered today? What question do you want answered today? So as you hop on today's live, you don't have much details about what I'm going to share, but you do know that I'm talking about how I was able to sign 6 4-figure clients in 28 days and how you can make these same 3 shifts to allow yourself to have those results or even better results. How you can see results in your business too by making these changes. So as you step in today's live, I want you to ask, what questions are you coming in with? Like, what would make today's live super valuable to you? What is one question you want answered? Drop that question in the comment section. And I can get back to that at the end of today's live, or I can, of course, reply over DMs or comments. So, live or replay, let me know what is that question that you're coming into today's live with. So, these 3 things allowed me to go from, yes, signing low ticket offers, $100, $200 offers, like low ticket group coaching programs or courses, to signing 4-figure clients, right? So, what is the difference between those two? First of all, these are 2 different kinds of buyers, right? People that are buying low ticket versus high ticket, they are quite possibly coming into things with a different mindset and they have an expectation of a different outcome. So, when we think of these buyers in front of us, if we are directing our messaging towards these low ticket buyers and we are only selling at a high ticket price point, there's going to be a disconnect because low ticket buyers can also be high ticket buyers. But the way you speak to somebody to sell into a low ticket buyer is different than the way you speak to somebody that's going into a high ticket offer. So it sounds a bit interesting when I say you actually need more details for the low ticket buyers and less details for the high ticket buyers. And the reason being is low ticket buyers are looking for a good deal. They want to know all the things, the details of your offer. Whereas high ticket buyers are investing usually to get in closer proximity with you, right? When we think of a course versus one-to-one coaching, usually a course is typically on the lower ticket end versus one-to-one coaching is usually your highest ticket offer. What are the difference between those two people? Well, the course, they're not as close to you or they don't have that direct communication. There's less proximity, whereas one-to-one is as close as they can get, right? it's the closest that it can get to you. So when we think about proximity, we also think about is transformation and being in the energy. So high ticket buyers tend to invest into those high ticket offers without all the details because they know I want to work with you. So it doesn't really matter about the details when they have that mentality of I want to work with you, right? They see what you're doing, they love the way you're showing up. They're like, I want to work with you. It doesn't really matter in what way, but I want to get close to you. That's the mentality of a high ticket buyer. Versus the low ticket buyer, they're looking for a good deal for the information. See how that's different? One wants to be within your energy, and the other one wants your information, wants your strategy. So, two different kinds of buyers. And the reason why this is important to preface is because it has to do with the three things I did to go from selling these $100, $200 offers to these four-figure offers and being able to sign clients in both areas, whether it's low ticket or high ticket. So the first thing I did, and this isn't in a particular order, but there's three things that I did, is showing up differently. Back in 2021, I'm going to do a post on this today, but back in 2021, I had not signed on a new client for a couple months. And it was the first time I ever debated quitting. Like, I was like, is this really worth it? I was at the lowest low. But guess what? Before I was at that lowest low, I was at my highest high. So I went from the best business month to the following 2 months being the worst. Right? I went from my highest high to my lowest low. And guess what? When that happened, the way I showed up changed. When I was receiving good results, I was showing up in good energy. But as soon as things started to go a bit sideways, I was in this low energy. And so the things I was doing to get my highest high result was the exact same things I was doing that were resulting in no results. Okay? And this is why all three things that I did to be able to sign these these 6 four-figure clients in 28 days, you'll notice all of them, strategically, nothing changed. Strategy-wise, nothing changed. All three of these things have nothing to do with me changing my formula. So why was I experiencing amazing results, signing 5K, 6K clients, to all of a sudden signing no clients when I'm doing the same thing? I'm showing up the same amount. I'm posting the same amount. I'm talking, giving value. I'm doing my live launches. Why was I receiving different results? I was showing up both when I had my highest high and my lowest low. So it's not the fact that I wasn't showing up. It's not the fact that I wasn't doing the thing. It was the way I was doing the thing. It was the way I was showing up. I had this high energy because I was receiving good results and I was showing up in that high energy, which then allowed that momentum to build. And I had my highest month, right? But then one little thing went sideways that allowed my energy to drop. And now I was operating from this, which then allowed things to drop more and more and more. So all of a sudden, when my energy was high, my results were high. And my energy became low, all my results, low. So how do I now change that? Like, how do you change that? Well, you focus on showing up, not just for the sake of showing up. You focus on showing up as the premium service provider that your ideal client is excited to invest in. If you look at your profile, or if you look at your lives, or if you look at your stories or your content, are you showing up as that multiple six-figure earner? Are you showing up as that seven-figure earner? If you are showing up as that multiple six-figure earner, or six-figure or seven-figure, wherever you're at and wherever you want to be, if you were showing up as them, you would be there. So how do we get there? We start showing up as them. Start showing up and operating like the person that owns the business that you want to own operates. So stepping into the shoes before you're there allows you to get there. Sometimes we expect the outcome before we even take the action to receive that outcome. We want the results before we take the steps. So in order to get where you want to be, you have to be willing to make those leaps. You have to be willing to stretch yourself. So what I focused on that allowed me to go from these low ticket offers to no clients in the month to scaling is, first of all, focusing on the way I'm showing up and thinking to myself every time I got up, how can I get excited? How can I be in my best energy? How can I love what I do each day? How can I serve my clients today? And thinking all of it in excitement. And that may sound like very loose advice, because I definitely thought so at the beginning. I was like, yeah, right. Well, I want the strategy, you know? You're like, well, tell me the thing to do. But I can tell you the strategy. You know the strategy, right? There's so many strategies, and all the strategies work, but it's how you make them work for you. How can you show up in your best energy? Because if you're just posting for the sake of posting, likely they're not converting. Right? If you just post, you have it all planned, it's very structured, strategically it makes sense. But the energy isn't there. And it reflects in your messaging, whether it's verbal, whether it's on a live in your body language, or whether it's through written content, the tone. We can feel it. So if you're coming from a place of lack, of a place of low energy, of non-excitement, then your people are going to be coming from a place of lack. Your people are going to be moving in hesitation. Who you're attracting right now is the way you are showing up. So any objections you're receiving, we need to look back into you and your life and how that's showing up in your business. For example, in my Cash and Clients Club yesterday, in my weekly live training, I gave this example. Whatever your leads are doing is happening in your life or business. So if your leads are saying, I will invest in you when I, and then they fill in the blank, right? I will invest in you when I sign more clients, or I will invest in fitness coaching when I'm not sick anymore. I will start eating healthy when ABC, right? If your leads are like that, saying, I will do this when this, then we need to look in your life and business. Where are you telling yourself that? Where are you telling yourself, I will do this when this happens? Or maybe your leads are coming to you and saying, oh yeah, it seems like a good fit, but maybe a month from now. Or reach back to me in 5 weeks or 6 weeks. Or they say, maybe next year. Where are you telling yourself that in your life or business? Where are you saying, oh yeah, I'll do this when this, or I will wait until this, or just give me one more month. Where are you saying that in your life or your business? So my example is I have an August end of summer promo going on till the 31st for my one-to-one and one-to-one VIP offers. And I have hot leads in my DMs, right? I have these hot leads in my DMs and they're interested. And I know they're interested because they've expressed interest. And I've sent them the details. But guess what? They're on the fence. They haven't made a decision, yes or no. They're leaning in, they're leaning out, they're leaning in, they're leaning out. Like, should I, shouldn't I? Is now the right time? And guess what? I know exactly why my leads were on the fence. My leads were on the fence because in my life, I was on the fence about a decision in my life. I'm a traveler. I've been in Canada for a while now, and I've been thinking, I want to go somewhere. I want to leave. But I've been in debate. I was like, should I book it? Should I not? Is now the right time? Oh, I'll wait until this. And then like what if this isn't the right time? What if I should wait until this? And then I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about this decision in my life, and therefore my leads are on the fence. And this may sound like, Emily, this has nothing to do with that. But I can guarantee you, yesterday I told my Cash and Clients Club members this. I said, I am going to book my flight. And because I made the decision in my business and I stopped making excuses and I said, this is when I'm going, I know that this week my leads are going to move. They're either going to say yes or no. They're not going to be in this gray zone because the gray zone is the worst place you can be. It's either a yes or a no. The quicker and more decisive you can be, the better. Because nothing good happens in the gray zone. It keeps you still. Yes or no's move you forward. It's not always about getting the yeses. It's not always about saying the no's. But when you make a decision, you move. When you stay in hesitation, wondering, should I, shouldn't I? You stay still. So I made a decision. I booked a flight last night. And I was like, I'm doing this thing. Because I know when I move, when I make a decision, now so are my leads. So think about the way your people are showing up for you, or maybe the way your people aren't showing up for you. And how are you showing up for yourself in that same way in your life or business? This is why the way you're showing up is so much deeper than what we think, right? We think if we just do the thing, if we just show up, if we force ourselves to do the live, if we go on stories 5 times a day, we're going to get clients. But you can do all the things. You can do all the things. But if you're not showing up from a place of serving, of excitement, of impact, of purpose, if you're not showing up in that energy, you either aren't going to receive any clients, or you will, but it's not your people. It's not the people you want to work with. Because they're coming into it the way you were going into it. So the way you want to see people show up for you, you have to show up for them. You have to be that leader. If you want your people to move, you need to move. If you want your people to invest, you need to invest. If you want your people to take action, you need to take action. If you want your clients to believe in themselves, your leads to believe in themselves, you need to believe in yourself. Showing up matters. Second thing, what did I do? Focused on detachment. And this is one of those things. It's so easy to say, oh yeah, I detach. So easy to say. It's a whole nother thing to actually do it, apply it, and practice it. It's a practice. What does attachment and detachment look like? So attachment looks like your energy or your emotions or your actions are dependent on people's reactions. So for example, let's say you post something and then it doesn't get any likes or comments, and then you go and delete it. Or let's say you send a message and then you get ghosted. Or let's say that you show up for a sales call, get on the sales call, you think it goes well, and then they say no. Attachment looks like being affected by those things. You're affected by the reaction of others, which is then determining the actions you take in your business. And for my example, this is what I was talking about. This is why I received the lowest low after the highest high, is because I was attached to the reaction of others. And so when there was, in my opinion, a negative reaction, it was affecting the way I showed up. I didn't want to show up. Then I was showing up in this bad energy. So that's what attachment looks like. Or if you get no likes or comments and you take it down, right? You're reacting based on what has happened. Or if somebody ghosted you and then you think, oh, it's because this. And we make up these stories. And then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't DM them anymore. Or maybe I should delete that message. Right? That's what attachment looks like. You're attached to the result of what you are doing. So what does detachment look like? Detachment looks like posting and having a kind of careless mindset towards it. Not in a negative way, but in a free way, right? You no longer are worried about that post or how it's going to perform. You're posting it because you were meant to post it. That message, it was received the way it was meant to be received. Right? That person went off a call and said no. It wasn't their time. But maybe it will be in the future and maybe it won't be. But however it works out, it was meant to be. That is what detachment looks like. It allows you to have stability in your energy, which then translates in stability in your business. Because when you're attached, it affects the way you show up. And when the way you show up is affected, your business is going to go like this because your emotions are like this. Right? Things are going great, you're going to have great time in business. But then when things are going bad, you're going to have not so fun time in business. So the more you can detach from the reaction of others and show up from a place of excitement and a no matter what mindset. This is the mindset. No matter what. I did a post earlier, I think it was last week, and was, let's say you host a live event and nobody signed up for it. A leader shows up. Let's say you launch a program. Nobody signs up. And it was an 8-week program, live coaching calls. A leader shows up on those coaching calls. Even with no attendees, you're showing up. You are not depending on your actions based on the reaction of others, based on the result. You are showing up no matter what. Nobody's attending your lives. You continue to do your lives. Leaders lead. They don't make decisions based on others. They determine, hey, I'm doing this, and they do it. They don't just say they're going to do the thing, they do the thing. And you notice when you shift into this leadership role, you will exponentially grow in your business as an entrepreneur. And what I've realized in this last, I would say 6 months, it's been so apparent to me that the most successful entrepreneurs in general, people, are the people that are leaders. The people that have boundaries, the people that aren't afraid to speak the truth, the people that walk the path. So how do you define leadership? How do you define a leader? And how are you right now showing up as a leader? And if you feel like I'm not showing up as a leader, how can you do that today? What does a leader look like in your business? Because when you show up as that leader, you then become that authority figure. A leader doesn't need to tell people that they're a leader. People can feel it, people can see it. So how do you define leadership? And how are you showing up as a leader in your business right now? Okay? Showing up, how you're showing up matters. So you can do all the things, but it's how you do it. Detachment, practicing detachment. Because with attachment, your business is going to go up and down, up and down. And you may even think, Emily, but when things are going well in my business, shouldn't I, be excited and be in this high energy? Yes. But we don't want to be attached to that even win because, as I said, what happens when you're not winning? So no matter what, if they show up for your program or if they don't, if you get a new client or you don't, either way, you're neutral. Neutral. Because that will create stability. Celebrate. You can celebrate, but allow your energy to not be affected the way things go and realize that if they're a client, great. If they're not, great. Either way, it's amazing. That's the kind of energy. And the third thing I did, expansion. Expansion of what I was viewing in my mind for what was possible for my business. So last year in 2021, I realized that my messaging was speaking to people that wanted quick wins. So guess what? Who's coming into my programs? Who was I working with? Who was I attracting? Who are my leads? People that want quick wins. People that were looking for, just cash injection. That's it though. And they weren't looking at the big picture. So I have changed my messaging because the people I desire to work with, the women I desire to work with, don't just want a side hustle. They don't just want a quick win. They want to make serious impact. They want to build an empire. They want to leave legacy. They are looking for generational wealth to change not only their world, but other people's worlds. That is a completely different person than a person that's interested in a little bit more cash in their life. So when I expanded my mind to see the big picture for myself, to see the big vision, to see what I'm actually capable of, I allowed people that see the big picture to come into my world. When I was small-minded, so were my people. When I opened the picture and started talking from a place of the big, the long term, not just the quick wins, I was calling in the people that actually have a vision, that feel that they're here with purpose. So now, the people I was working with before, yes, I enjoyed, teaching them strategy and such, but it wasn't that fulfilling to me, to be honest. But now I love working with my clients. I love working with my clients because they all are purpose driven. They all see a long-term big vision and they all have this resilience about them. That's who I work with. So now the people that inquire about my services are completely different, right? Rather than getting objections about a $500 offer, I get people inquiring about $5,000 offers without objections. Completely different people I'm speaking to. And how was I able to speak to these people? Not just strategically through changing my messaging, that's a piece of it, but it's because I'm showing up differently. I've detached from the result, which allows me to show up consistently with stable energy that doesn't affect the result of my business. And I've expanded my own mind, which reflects in the way I speak to my people. What is your greatest takeaway so far of today's live? I'm going to check in. If you have any comments, questions, let me know. Hello, Emily. Hello, Tanya. Hello, Prathusha. Hi, Kelly. Let me know if any questions have come along. But this is huge, you guys. This is huge. This notepad, it doesn't have very much stuff. But what you can do with this is huge. This is the difference between what you're doing now and 10 timesing it. So what are you going to take away today? And what are you going to leave today? This is what I like to say. Come into this live with it, whatever blocks you had. I want you to leave that here. You don't need it. You don't need it. And I want you to take what you needed to take away from today. Maybe only one thing stuck out to you. Maybe 10 things. But I want you to take what you need today and not just keep it here. I just did a post yesterday on this. Knowledge without action means nothing. So if you're watching this, you can watch this, you can think, oh my goodness, this completely opened my eyes. And then you can go back to do what you were doing. Or you can take what you needed today, leave what you didn't need today, and make changes. What are you going to do to start showing up as the premium service provider? What are you going to do today to detach from what you're attached to right now? What are you going to do today to expand and be able to see the long-term vision? What does this look like for you? Because it's not going to be the same for me as for you. So what does this look like in your life, in your business? Maybe showing up today is going on a live and taking whatever your greatest takeaway from today's live is and talking on it. Maybe detaching today is throwing out a post that comes from the heart that you feel like is something you've been wanting to say but haven't said, and not caring about the reaction. How many likes? How many comments? Because I can tell you right now, people are seeing you. People are seeing you. Even the people that you don't know are seeing you. And they're liking it. And they're resonating with you. I just did a story last week talking about my end of August one-to-one promo. And I said, DM me VIP or one-to-one. And I had people in my DMs, I swear I had never seen their profile in my life. Like, I didn't know we were Facebook friends. They didn't interact with any of my content. I didn't even know they knew who I was. I didn't know who they were. And now they're DMing me interested in my high ticket offers. And this is because I left the posts, right? I haven't deleted the posts that didn't get the reaction I wanted. Detachment. Expansion. Are you speaking from this small level? Like, are you thinking small? And how can you think bigger? How can you show up bigger? For me, a huge part of it is not only my investing in myself, but also challenging myself in different ways. So investing is one way you can challenge yourself, like financially. So for example, before I did a post saying, I used to think investing $10,000 in a coach, I thought that was absolutely insane. like a year ago, I thought people are crazy to be doing that. Then what did I do this month? I invested $10,000 in a coach. The investment didn't change, but my mindset around it did. I was thinking very small then. And when you're thinking small, that seems huge. But when you think huge, that thing seems very small. So when we think bigger, when we think the long term, if you're wanting to grow to multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, a $10,000 investment, if a $10,000 investment can unlock a 7-figure business, does that investment seem huge or crazy? No, because we see the big picture. We see the big picture. So when you can see the big picture, these decisions become very small. It doesn't make them easy, right? I had resistance towards making this investment. It was scary. It was stretching me. But I knew that because I felt this resistance towards it, I knew it was for me. And this is when sometimes alignment and resistance get misconstrued. Sometimes we think, oh, I have hesitation towards this. This is misaligned. No. Misaligned is when it goes against like your core values, your beliefs. That is misaligned. Resistance is what will push you and pull you outside of your comfort zone. But when you realize that leaning into the resistance, following the resistance rather than stepping back, those are the things that are going to propel you even further. So if you've invested in business coaches before, and maybe you've done $500, $1,000, maybe $2,000, $3,000 offers, and you've been doing these more low or mid-ticket offers, well, first of all, let's add that up. If you've done a few of them, it's probably close to the same investment as a higher ticket offer. But not only that, were you making those investments based on comfortability? Because if you're making investments that are comfortable, you're not afraid to lose it. There's nothing to lose. But when you put your place in a position of, I'm taking a risk here. I have resistance here. I need to make this work. It's completely different energy. Because with the low ticket or mid ticket offers, you're going into the energy of I can lose this, And so when you go into it, you're not all in necessarily. But when you make investments that stretch you, I'm all in. And I'm saying, like, there is no option for this not to work. I am going to make this work for me. I am going to make this work for me, no matter what. I'm going to make this work for me. I'm going to learn from this, no matter what. Let me know in the comment section where you're at. I could go on and on and on, but I really want this not to be information overload. I want this to be eye-opening. I want this to be business changing. I want this to be transformative. So let me know your greatest takeaways in the comment section. Let me know any questions that are coming up. Let me know, what are you resisting or what are you attached to that you're going to focus on detaching to? How are you going to show up as that leader? What's your next investment that's going to stretch you? Let me know in the comment section. I loved today's little training. Little training, little time, but big value. And if you are interested in my end of August one-to-one and one-to-one VIP promo in those last few seats, ends August 31st, just direct message me the word promo. I'll get you the details and we'll talk soon. Bye for now.